All right. Welcome back to another very special edition of Area 11. My name is Kyle Keka, and my other host is.
Matt Baylor, aka Mr. Music Man, aka Mr. Music. What's
Again with the
up, guys? How you
nicknames.
doing?
All right. We have a very good episode for you guys tonight. We're very excited to roll this out. We do not have any guests on this episode. We wanted to run it back for one of our original features with just Matt and I for this week. We'll have more guests in the future. But this episode is going to be really good. We're going to do our Super Bowl preview with Super Bowl Sunday coming up this Sunday with the Chiefs versus the Buccaneers. Very excited for that. We're going to talk about the Matt Stafford trade, which Matt's probably going to have a lot of opinions on. Detroit Lions fan over here.
Yes, sir.
Then we're going to talk about where Deshaun Watson could potentially go because he has requested a trade from the Houston Texans. And then we're going to shift to basketball, where we're going to be talking about who the best young core in the NBA is right now. And we're also going to be talking about if the Utah Jazz are for real or if they're a little bit fake. And then to end it off, we're going to do a musical bracket. This time it's going to be Arizona Zervas, who entered the mainstream with the song Roxanne oh my God, I was about to say last year, but it was 2019 now.
It looks like last year, though.
That's crazy. That is insane. And he is an artist that is very near and dear to our hearts. I credit Matt with putting me on Zervas and his music, and he's got 15 or 16 songs on my playlist, so he's a really good guy to listen to.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, to start off the podcast, we are going to be talking about our Super Bowl predictions and our overall Super Bowl preview. Like I said, the Chiefs and the Bucs are going to be playing this Sunday. I believe the betting line right now is Chiefs by, I want to say like 3.5 points, something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty close. I feel like most people would probably pick the Chiefs to win this game because their offense is so dynamic and they have just enough playmakers on defense to get it done. And they have Mahomes. They have Patrick Mahomes, who is arguably the best quarterback in football. Matt, what do you think the keys to this game are, and who do you have winning this game?
I think defense for both teams going to have to step up. Tampa Bay's defense has been playing incredible. They have two of the best linebackers in the league, as well as an extraordinary defensive line. Jason Pierre-Paul, my man, Ndamukong Suh. So, as far as Patrick Mahomes and his offense, they're going to have to be moving extremely fast, which, again, is Patrick Mahomes. It's not really a problem, but I feel like this is the probably, best defense that we played this year. And, as far as the Chiefs defense, they have some playmakers as well. And, again, Tom Brady isn't as mobile as Patrick Mahomes, but, he's quick, minded. He makes a lot of moves. They're smart. Obviously, he's not perfect, but he does have a high football IQ. So I think it's gonna be a battle of the defenses. As far as the offense, they get things done every week. It seems like. So that it is what it is. But like I said, I think the main spotlight is going to be on both the team defense and how they can stop quarterbacks. So yeah.
So you got winning the game. Gut feeling right now. A couple days out.
It's tough, man. It's tough. Going with a gut feeling though, I gotta go Chiefs. Um, I feel like that their offense is going to make up for the lack of their defense. I do feel like their defense, in comparison to the Bucs, is not as good. But I think that it's gonna go back and forth. It's not gonna be a blowout. And if it is, then that's crazy. But yeah, man, I got Chiefs by either a field goal or a touchdown. I feel like it's gonna be real close, but I'm excited for it. How about you?
So what you're saying about the defenses is pretty interesting because the Chiefs' formula the last couple of years has been Mahomes
Mm-hmm.
and his receiving game, just a good enough running game, and a
Yeah.
defense that is bend but don't break. Their defenses in the last couple of years have been pretty solid.
Mm.
Um, if unspectacular, they've had a couple mainstays on that defense for a couple of years now. Chris Jones on their line, Tyrann and Matthew in the secondary, who are two of the best defensive players in the entire league. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic is going to play out with them stopping Tom Brady. What's interesting, and I think the most important storyline in this game, is the Chiefs' offensive line. Their offensive line throughout the year has been pretty unhealthy. They lost a couple starters early on in the season, but their starting left tackle Eric Fisher is going to be out for this game. He
Mm.
has an injury. And it's like we were saying, their defense, the defensive line of the Bucks is very, very good. They have a couple guys that can really that can really pressure the quarterback and make Mahomes feel uncomfortable. They
Mm.
also have Levante David at linebacker, who's one of the best players in all of football. Um, so with the Chiefs' offensive line being tattered right now, a lot of pressures are going to be on Mahomes to be near perfect for them to win this
Yeah.
game. I do think that it can be done. Mahomes is obviously a very special talent, and just he's definitely one of the most, if not the most skilled player at the quarterback position I've ever seen personally. So it's going to be interesting to see how he handles the pressure that the Bucs are going to put on him. I think they're going to get to him at least a couple times. I think they're going to sack him probably 2, 3, 4 times. Mahomes is mobile, which will make it tough, but I do think it'll happen.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that this game is going to be closer than a lot of people think. I think for Tampa's offense, I think Brady's going to get his. He's built for these moments, and he's the
Yep.
greatest player of all time as of this moment.
Go.
Um, and the Bucks arguably have more depth across their team right now than the Chiefs do. The
True.
Chiefs have more star talent, but the Bucks roster, if you look at both the rosters from an objective standpoint, they're arguably deeper than the Chiefs are right now. So I do think that the Chiefs are going to pull out this game. I do believe Mahomes. It's very tough to bet against Tom Brady,
Yeah.
even at 43 years old. I have the Chiefs winning this game 30-28,
Okay.
with Mahomes winning MVP of this game.
Okay.
And I kind of wanted to ask you this too. So if Mahomes wins this game, it's going to be his second his second in a row if he wins this game on
Right.
Sunday. Where does this put him in the conversation for greatest players of all time? Because he obviously has a ways to go to catch Brady, because Brady has 6 right now.
Yeah.
But if Mahomes wins this game, there's going to be a lot of people that are saying if he retires after this game, for instance, which he won't, but if he did, he would already be a Hall of Famer. What are your thoughts on that?
I think we were talking about this a couple of days ago. But I don't think people realize how hard it is to make it to the Super Bowl back to back years. Um, as far as Patrick Mahomes go, him being a super young quarterback, making it to the Super Bowl, and on top of that, winning the Super Bowl, I think really opened up a lot of people's eyes of his potential, and his room for growth. Now back to your question, if he retired after the Super Bowl, I feel like, with what I said about going back to Super Bowl, back to back years, and him with his age, I definitely would put him um top 10. Uh and the reason why I say top 10 and not top 5 was because he's still, like I said, he's still young. And we still have a lot to see from this kid. Um so jumping the gun and putting him top 5, I feel like is a bit, you know, uh close to the edge. But top 10 is a good space, because when you think of quarterbacks, greater quarterbacks, um, there's a lot that has done great things in their career, um, which led them to, a Super Bowl or the Hall of Fame. And again, with Patrick Mahomes and where he's been and where he's going, he can easily, move up the charts from that top 10 list, um, and potentially, be a top 3 guy by the end of his career. So, yeah.
I mean, he's off to the most dominant start, I think, for anyone in North American sports history.
Yeah.
I think just his. I mean, since 2018 when he won MVP that year, he he just has it all. He's got a rocket for an arm.
Yeah.
It helps, of course, that he has Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, but I think even I think even without those guys, he would be a phenomenal quarterback. He
True.
just has great instincts. He's so natural with it. He's just so fun to watch. Like every time he's on, I don't watch football as much as I used to, but every time that he's on, I tune in because I know that I could watch something special. And
Definitely.
Mahomes just has that quality. I think that if so, just hypothetically speaking, if Mahomes retired at the end of the Super Bowl, which he won't, but if he did, he would have probably a decent chance of making the Hall of Fame. But I don't think he would just because that's only 3 excellent years.
Yeah.
I always kind of point to the Sterling Sharp example. That's Shannon Sharp's brother.
Mm.
He was a great receiver for the Packers for 6-7 years. He had like probably 8 or 9 thousand receiving yards. He was one of the best receivers in the league when he played, and he has not been inducted into the Hall of Fame yet.
Mm.
Now that's a receiver, and Mahomes is a quarterback,
Right.
which is the most important position in football. But I still think that Mahomes would probably have to play a couple more years at that level to warrant a very early Hall of Fame induction.
Mm.
But I mean, he's not going to retire until he's in his 40s. I mean, he's going to play the game for as long as he wants, and he's not going to want to forfeit that contract. This is a hypothetical thing.
True.
But I do think that if Mahomes wins this game, he is on a track that very, very few people in North American pro sports have been on, which is the potential GOAT track.
Yeah.
I do see a world in which he catches Tom Brady one day, but that's he has to do a lot more.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of just his pure talent, just the way he plays the game, he's definitely going to go down as an all-time great. I think regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we both have the Chiefs winning this. Pretty close though, and I should add something though. If both teams were at full strength, I'd have the Chiefs by 10.
Yeah.
If both teams were full strength, but I think because of the circumstances and with the Bucks playing at home, I mean this is the first home game Super Bowl there is.
Yeah.
With the Bucks at home playing in Tampa Bay, it's going to be really fascinating. I do think that the Chiefs are going to pull this one out, but I think it's going to be closer than people realize.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, moving on from our Super Bowl preview, which is this Sunday, we are going to transition into another football topic. We're going to transition into talking about the Matt Stafford trade. So not too long ago, just a couple days ago, Matt Stafford, formerly of the Detroit Lions, got traded to the Los Angeles Rams for Jared Goff, a couple first-round picks, and a third-round pick. There have been a lot of opinions that have been floating around online on YouTube from various sports personalities about this trade, and I wanted to get your opinion on it first. Your instant gut reaction, and then what you thought about it after, because we were talking about this a little bit a couple days ago.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if you've changed your stance on it since.
Well, obviously you were actually the first one to tell me about it because I had no idea. And when you had texted me that, you said something like Matt Stafford to the Rams, and instantly, as soon as I read that text, my mind, said we got Jared Goff because the deal was, wherever Matt Stafford goes, it was going to be a trade, and 99%, we were going to get that team's quarterback. And obviously, Jared Goff, former LA Rams, we got him. Like how it said, as far 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. As far as who won the trade, I look at it's pretty neck and neck. But I feel, and again, this is not me being biased because I'm a Lions fan, but I do feel like we've won by a slight margin. And that's because not only do we have a younger quarterback, but we also acquired all these draft picks. Now, what that means is, if Jared Goff doesn't pan out to what the Lions want him to be, That's where those draft picks come into play, and we can acquire another quarterback from the draft in these upcoming years. Obviously, like the general manager said and other Lion staff, we are in a retool. So basically, some players are staying, some players are going. Obviously, Matt Stafford, one of those guys that has to go. And again, I think Matt Stafford is an incredible quarterback. There was no, hate for the guy. Um, I think, like I said, I think he's a top 10 quarterback in this league of today. But again, he deserves to be somewhere that he can win. The Rams in the past 3, 4 years have made it to the playoffs, and then they had a Super Bowl appearance in 2018, I believe. So I feel like they're one piece away, and if I'm a Rams fan, I'm content with this trade because yeah, Matt Stafford is older. Um, one thing fans have to worry about is uh, his history of injuries. But if you can keep Stafford healthy for a full year, they're going deep in the playoffs. I don't want to say the Super Bowl because it's kind of like they're kind of pushing it, but it's very possible. So like I said, and as far as the Lions getting Jared Goff, I'm content with it. He said in an interview that he's glad he's playing for someone who wants him. And obviously, if you guys been following the whole trade, uh, the whole front office and coaching staff didn't really believe him anymore. And I feel like this is a time for Jared Goff to play at a high level because he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, and now he wants to show not only his old team, what he can really do, but to the league as a whole.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting. I also found out that we play the Rams this upcoming season, so two teams will, two quarterbacks or
That's awesome.
face off together again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm content and I'm happy, and we'll see what this upcoming season is in store for us.
I struggled with analyzing this trade. At first, my instant reaction from this trade was that the Rams gave up too much.
I agree.
But as I thought about it more, the more I made sense of it for both sides. So from the Lions side, you're obviously getting somewhat of a downgrade at quarterback because Goff is a good quarterback. Stafford is just better. Stafford's probably a top 10, 12 guy in the league. Goff is probably like a top, I would say maybe like a 15, 16-ish quarterback right now. So in the short term, you are not getting the better quarterback. But if you're the Lions and you're in a retool right now, you probably weren't going to go very far anyway.
Right.
Like you said, Goff is a lot younger than Stafford. I believe he's 6 or 7 years younger than Stafford is right now, which gives him room to grow in a new system. And those draft picks are huge because if you're the Lions and you're not going to be very good for the next year or two, you would be able to potentially package the draft picks that you got in that trade along with your own draft pick and maybe trade up to a really like a top 2, another top 3 spot for a future draft, for a very near future draft. So if I'm the Lions, I have a lot of flexibility right now in terms of what I can use with my draft capital. So that's why I think as of right now, I think the Lions are the preliminary winners. The whole winner loser in a trade thing is fun to talk about, but we don't actually know until
the season.
Until the season starts. Right. For the Rams, I do think I did make sense of it. Very steep price to pay for a quarterback that's going to be 33 years old. But Stafford right now is an upgrade over Goff, and they have a good receiving core. They have a great young coach. They have a great defense.
Yeah.
I do think this makes the Rams better. It just depends on how much better. Yeah. Because they compete in a very tough division, very tough conference in general, with a lot of deep contenders in it. So I do think the Lions to win in the long run, and I think the Rams win in the short run, and it just kind of depends on what your flavor is. Like if you're a Rams fan, I'm happy that I'm getting a quarterback that can throw the deep ball more, and from the Lions, I'm happy that I get a quarterback that is 7 years younger, who has room to grow, who has made the Pro Bowl a couple times,
Yeah.
and I get extra draft picks. So I think the Lions probably got a little bit of a better deal in the trade, but if I'm the Rams, I'm pretty happy with it.
That's facts. And one thing that I like to mention is that it really, like you said, it took me a minute to process it, and I
Mm-hmm.
had to because it's one thing to see a tweet or see an article and it's real, you know, fat heavy and stuff and
Yeah,
all that. One thing that I like to do to kind of break stuff down is watch, YouTube's on videos of fans kind of breaking it down
yeah,
for someone who doesn't really understand the game
mm-hmm.
to a certain level.
That's true.
So yeah, it's interesting. Um, but yeah, I don't. We'll see what happens. Like I said, I think this is the start of something new. This is probably the best move that's happened. And I think again, I saw somebody else that said this on Twitter, but this is the best thing the Lions have done in the past 15 years, and I think that's 100% true. Um,
I can
our
see that.
new front office is, I think, their Brad Holmes is I feel like doing a lot of behind the scenes work, and as of
Yeah.
now, we may not see it for what it truly is. But when the season begins, if he's really meant out to what he's meant to be, we're right back in the swing of things. So
Yeah. And also, if I had to give this trade a letter grade,
mhm.
the Lions would probably get like a B plus A minus.
Yeah,
Rams probably like a B minus. Just because you have to incorporate the long term into it as
yeah,
well. I think in the short run, the Rams are going to be better off, but I think for the Lions, it's like you said, Brad Holmes has a plan,
yeah,
and if I wouldn't call him crazy for thinking that Goff is the future at quarterback if you surround him with the right pieces. And it seems
yeah,
like he's off to a very good start. I mean, Holmes has proven himself as a very good talent evaluator. And if he is able to implement his system in Detroit, that that could mean good things for you guys in the near future. So
yeah,
yeah, I think the Lions are finally headed in somewhat of a right direction.
yeah. I think I said this on one of the other episodes, but you know, I had the Rams to were one of those teams that I didn't think that we would go out and get. But like I said, after everything kind of settled down, Brad Holmes came from, LA or from the Rams organization. And, he's responsible for getting Jared Goff, Aaron Donald, and all those guys, Cooper Cup. So, that's his boy at the end of the day. And if he saw something special in him and he wanted to bring him to Detroit, then I gotta respect it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that covers the Matthew Stafford trade. We're going to move on to our next conversation. Deshaun Watson, who is better than Matt Stafford and Jared
Yeah,
Goff.
yeah,
Deshaun Watson is a top 5 or maybe even top 4 quarterback in the entire National Football League. Clemson product 2017 is I mean, he's lit the league on fire ever since he came into it.
yeah,
Outside of that injury that he had, he's a joy to watch, and it's unfortunate that he's in a situation right now that is not optimal for his skill set,
mhm,
um, and for his growth uh, as a great quarterback in this league. And he has formally requested a trade from the Houston Texans. Um, and there has been a lot of speculation as to where he could go. What is the best fit that a team could provide for Watson right now, while also giving the Texans a pretty good return in terms of draft capital or players or something like that? Best possible combination in your opinion.
yeah. So when this started to catch fire, he had, I guess, given a list of places he would like to go. Um, think he came down like top three. No order. New York Jets, Miami Dolphins, and the 49ers. Um, I just got some news today that um, New York now is not on his list anymore.
Okay.
So, which means that, now we're down to San Francisco and Miami Dolphins. Um, According to your question, I think his best fit would be San Francisco.
Mm,
Um, they have a super talented young offense that needs a quarterback to make plays for them.
mm.
They just got a new head coach in Robert Sala.
Well, that was
Um,
the Jets. That was the
oh,
Jets.
he came from the 49ers. My fault. My fault.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so one thing that I don't know exactly what they would give up. I'm guessing draft picks and money because I feel like the players that they have are too valuable to pass up. They may give somebody that's on the verge of getting cut. But it not. I feel like it's not going to be more than three players. I feel like a bulk of it is going to be draft picks and money. Um, but like I said, I just feel like you know where Deshaun Watson came from with the Houston Texans, they weren't having real good seasons. And I think that if he goes to a place like Miami, it's gonna be kind of in the same spot. Um, and when I'm comparing the two offenses, like I said, I feel like the 49ers have more depth and more talent on uh the offensive side. So yeah, I think this was going to be, also interesting, and it's going to be well. They said about the Matt Stafford and the Goff trade that was the start of a domino effect, and I do feel that it's going to continue with the Deshaun Watson trade, and it can also affect uh draft picks for this coming year. If he does go to a Dolphins and or the Jets, even though they said it wasn't, we don't know exactly. We're not Deshaun Watson. But those teams have the second and third pick in this year's draft. So if they, um give up, their picks to the Texans, that's gonna change the whole game. So yeah, it's a real crazy time in the NFL world with trades and big name players, and Deshaun Watson is one of them. So
Niners would make sense. I do think for any team that wants Deshaun Watson, they're not only going to have to give up a couple draft picks, they're going to have to give up a really good player.
yeah,
Watson is that good.
yeah,
That he's a top 5 quarterback in this league. He's so dynamic. He's so good. If I'm the Raiders, that's interesting. I've heard a couple things about the Raiders and Watson. That would make sense because if you're the Texans and you want to get optimal return for a guy like Deshaun Watson, the Raiders have Derek Carr at quarterback.
mm,
They have draft picks, you know, just like any team does. Um, and they might be able to throw another like semi good player in that deal
yeah,
as well. And the thing about Deshaun Watson is he's always played in warm weather spots. So he
yeah,
played at Clemson, which is South Carolina. Now he's playing in Houston,
mm,
which is Texas, and I think his stadium right now is a dome.
yeah.
Is
They're
yeah.
not.
So I'm not sure how much climate actually has to do with a quarterback's success, but that's just something that Watson's used to, and
Yeah,
he would find that in San Francisco, but he would also find that in Las Vegas.
mm,
That's a comfortable climate for him to play in. I think it makes sense, and the only reason why I say the Raiders is because I've heard that there's some scuttlebutt that it could happen. I'm not sure if it will, but I think the Raiders would make sense. The Raiders have Josh Jacobs at running back. They have a good tight end, Darren Waller, I think his name is. They have a couple promising receivers like Henry Ruggs who can fly.
mm,
Their defense is a bit of a question mark, and and John Gruden, he's a decent coach, but he's not one of the game's best like he was 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
So I do think it would make sense. The only question is what the Raiders would give up, and I think any conversation would have to start with Derek Carr, who's a good quarterback in his own right, and he had a career best year this year.
Right.
But he's no Deshaun Watson.
True.
I mean, few quarterbacks are. So I think the Raiders are in an interesting spot for him. I agree with 49ers. I think they can make a deal. I would love for him to come to Chicago, but that's not going to happen. I think the Dolphins would make a little bit of sense. Jets would make a little bit of sense. I do think that basically any team that's not the Chiefs,
Yeah,
or the Packers, or the Chargers with Justin Herbert, or maybe even the Bucs with Tom Brady. I think any other team should be fair game for a guy like Watson Service. I mean, he's that
yeah,
good.
yeah.
He's an elite quarterback.
I wish we got him. I wish, because that would it was really making some, because again, this was the point where before all this other stuff happened, but they were saying, in comparison, we would give up Stafford, and we would get Watson, and Stafford will be back where he's from Texas, so he's playing back in his home state, and they'll be. I mean, I want to say better at the quarterback position, but they'll still, it'll still be kind of balanced. They have a vet on the team, and that's what they need. But when you brought up the Bears and you brought up the Raiders, you know who the Bears might get if they decide to get a new QB?
Who?
Derek Carr. I can see that. I saw somebody had said something about it. It wasn't a Bears fan. I think no Bears fan really wants Derek Carr.
I would like Derek Carr. What? Are you kidding me?
Well, in comparison to other names that are out there, like I feel like if you had no say and no option, then I feel like Bears fans will be like, all right, like I'll take it, like it's a no brainer. But I think it like seeing the other option that's out there. I wouldn't say Derek Carr is at top 3 on that list, but I said if the Bears don't want to go in a quarterback route and get a new quarterback, I can see them getting Derek Carr.
If we had a really good quarterback situation over the last couple of years, we probably would have made a Super Bowl with that defense that we have.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm telling you, if the entire roster as of right now is held constant, although we're going to probably lose Allen Robinson at wide receiver, he's so good. If we keep the entire roster constant right now, and we add a top 10 quarterback, we're a contender. It's just I just don't trust Trubisky, and I do not trust Foles. For as much as I like them as people, I don't trust them on the field. I just don't, and I think every Bears fan has a reason not to. It's like Steven in the last episode.
True.
All right, well, that's where we think Deshaun Watson is going to go. Let us know what you guys think. Next up on our list, we're going to switch to the NBA, basketball, different sports. We're going to be debating on who the best young core in the NBA is. And that's kind of a broad way of looking at it. So by young, I would say anyone that's probably younger than like 26 or 25.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Any NBA team that has a collection of young talent that is able, or that has the potential to flourish in upcoming seasons.
Yeah.
So maybe within the next like 5 or 6 years, who's going to be like number 1 in the conference or something like that. I'll start this time. Change it up a little bit. And I'm going to go with a team in the Western Conference.
Okay.
Team that has their point guard on my fantasy team right now. The Memphis Grizzlies. So John Morant is on my fantasy team, and thank God for that because I love John Morant. The Grizzlies, I think, have the best young core in the NBA. Let me just name some names for you right now. John Morant, Brandon Clark,
Yep,
Jaren Jackson Jr.,
Yep.
They got Dylan Brooks, Grayson Allen, Desmond Bain, and Xavier Tillman. Oh my God, that is some young talent right there.
It
So
is.
everybody knows about John Morant, how he won Rookie of the Year last year. He's super explosive. Um, if he develops a little bit more of a consistent jump shot, he's gonna be impossible to guard. Brandon Clark is a good forward. His floater game is crazy, solid defender. Jaren Jackson, great shooter when he comes back. Dylan Brooks, every time he shoots a three, it's I expect it to go in. He's
Yeah.
like a and he even kind of looks and runs like Danny Green, which is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Grayson Allen, Desmond Bain, also good shooters. Xavier Tillman plays like a vet, and he's like 22, 23 years old. I just think the Grizzlies right now have a core that if their talent keeps developing, I mean, I'm not even sure how old Jaren Jackson Jr. is. I mean, he's probably only like 21 years old, and he's been in the league for a couple years already. If
Yeah.
he stays off the injury list, he's going to flourish into one of the top guys. Hopefully, I mean, he fits the modern NBA perfectly as a stretch forward slash center guy. So I think the Grizzlies right now are very well set up for future success, and I do think I would expect this roster to probably at least make a conference finals within the next 3 or 4 years, maybe even sooner than that. But the West is very tough. The West is tough, and I think for as long as LeBron plays in the West, it's going to be tough for any team to advance far. Um, but I think that as he ages, I do think the Grizzlies are going to be one of those teams that's going to be there to potentially start this new post LeBron wave
Mm.
in the NBA. So that's who I got. I got the Memphis Grizzlies, led by John Morant, who's one of my favorite players.
I'm gonna be difficult, and instead of giving one, I got five.
Of course.
It was too hard just to choose one. I think Kyle did a good job of putting, you know, that team in perspective, everything. Um, but for me, in order, starting at five, I got the 76ers. Um, I think that, consistently they're top three in the East. Um, and they're doing their thing. Number four, got the Hawks. This year especially, they seem like they have a
Mm,
lot of young talent.
yes,
Um,
sir.
and I think that obviously now they're not doing great in the East, but again, this is their first year all playing together. So you got to give them some slack. But next upcoming years, expect them to be, finally, pulling the right strings and doing what they need to do on both offense and defense. Um, at three, I have the Suns. I think that this year, especially having the help of CP3, being that veteran role on that team's young. And they're
Hmm.
doing, I was talking about this the other day, but they're doing real good right now. I know it's still early in the season, but um,
I love Mikal Bridges.
yeah, Mikal Bridges, Devin
Great
Booker,
player.
obviously DeAndre
Great
Ayton,
player.
that
Mm,
that that team is slept on.
hmm.
Um, and number two, I have the Celtics. Um,
Mm,
Jason Tatum, obviously, Jalen Brown.
baller.
Those are the two that are feel like the biggest names as far as young guys on that team.
Hmm.
Um, and number one, I gotta agree with Kyle with the Grizzlies. Um, and originally on my list, I had Grizzlies at two, Celtics at one. But when I compare, numbers, the Grizzlies have, I should say, a young big three. And like how I mentioned, John Morant, who else we can Jaren Jackson and help
Yeah,
me
Brandon
out.
Clark.
Brandon Clark, DeAnthony Melton. They're all
Oh yeah, I
averaging,
didn't even mention him.
they're
Yeah.
all averaging, John Morant averaging, 21 points a game, Jaren Jackson 20 points a game, and Melton 19 points a game. So they're all neck and neck with each other. Um, so I agree with Kyle that you know, them playing the West, it is a bit harder. So the time for them to reach a top four in the West may not be as quick as an Atlanta Hawks because again they're in the East. It's
Hmm.
not that a lot of competition as of now. But I feel like it's going to take a bit of time for them to reach the summit and get to where they want to be um, in the upcoming season. So
Boston is interesting. I feel like I'm kind of curmudgeonly on the Celtics. I feel like I'm not as much of a believer in that team as some other people are. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge Jason Tatum fan. I
yeah,
love what Jaylen Brown's been able to do this year. He's really ascended into one of the league's top players. But the thing about Boston to me, they just seem like they're not very deep
I agree. Yeah,
as a team. They don't have like take their big mans for example. Daniel Tice is good. Tristan Thompson's good. But I feel like in order for this team to take the next step, they need to have a more impactful like center type
yeah,
on that team. Someone who is able to reliably on a consistent basis stretch the floor while also playing good interior defense. And it just seems like the Celtics have been lacking in that. They have exceptional young talent in Tatum Brown. I love Marcus Smart.
mm,
I like Kemba Walker, although he's not considered young anymore. But I think in order for the Boston Celtics to take the next step, they need to add someone that can seriously challenge the elite big men of the NBA. So like Joel Embiid, Jokic,
yeah,
Anthony Davis, all those guys. And the Celtics just don't have that. That's going to be interesting to see how they try to fix that problem.
mm,
But I think as long as you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're going to be in contention. It's just to what degree.
yeah,
And for the Hawks, I think the Hawks collection of talent is really, really good. I think for Trae Young, he's going to have to take it to the next level. He
mm,
hasn't been doing quite as good as he was last year. He's been a little bit inconsistent shooting the three. I think he's going to have to change his play style a little bit in the sense of not being a gunner as much as opposed to playing a little bit more controlled basketball. I think for
mm,
the Hawks to take the next step. But I mean, John Collins is a beast. Yeah, I like Trae Young regardless of what I just said. Um, I like that team,
yeah.
and I think every other team that you said also makes sense, including the Memphis Grizzlies, because that was my pick.
No, correct. But yeah, I agree with you with the subject. I feel like they are missing one more piece. And like you said, it could be a center. I think regardless, they just need, you know, one more superstar. And some people think that, Jason Tatum is a superstar. He's good, but he's not the missing link, you know. And I think that, if somehow they can acquire somebody else to get them over that hump, they'll be in business. And again, as NBA fans, we want to see more action in the East. Now you may, but Matt, look at the Nets. Look at the
That's true. They're a threat though.
it's one team though.
Well,
Well,
Philly,
but
Milwaukee.
really though,
I
Milwaukee
look,
really,
look. I think regardless of what's happened in the last couple of years with the Bucks, I think you can't ignore them. They're gonna at least make it to the second round of the playoffs, which
yeah,
makes them automatically a threat. Now, if they get over the hump, that's for anyone's anyone's guess.
yeah,
But I think the Drew Holiday edition is huge. I was listening to a podcast. CJ McCollum was on with Bill Simmons, and they were talking about Drew Holiday for a quick second, and
mm,
they both agreed that Holiday is one of those guys that really picks it up in the playoffs. And the Bucks have been missing playoff intensity,
yeah,
and Mike Budenholzer has, at least so far, not shown the ability to make adjustments when the lights are brightest.
mm,
So I do think the Bucks are going to be in better position to make noise in the playoffs than last year, for sure.
mm,
But Brooklyn, man, oh my God. They don't play a lick of defense, but that offense is
yeah.
insane.
They're going crazy.
Insane. They're going to be dangerous.
Yeah,
Kevin Durant's playing at an MVP level as well, which makes it even scarier.
true. And
I
I
love
guess the
Kevin
only
Durant.
only only thing that kind of makes me iffy is that I look at teams in the West and they have more than two primary guys. In the East, it's like you have Giannis and Drew Holiday, and you know, I mean, like I said, he's not a bad player, but like it's not enough to compete with the Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Like with a Brooklyn Nets team because they have three guys.
Maybe.
And I feel like again, like I'm a Giannis fan. I think he's talented, but you need at least one more something. I don't know what that something is, but you need to get him more help.
But
So
here's something though. So just as a hypothetical, so say that Brooklyn and Milwaukee play in the Eastern Conference Finals.
yeah,
The main ingredient for stopping Giannis in the playoffs has been to build that wall. The Raptors started it. The Heat built on it last year.
yeah,
Um, Brooklyn's defense, I don't think, as currently constructed, is built to have a wall of that caliber. I think Giannis in a 7-game playoff series would go absolutely ballistic against a team like Brooklyn. The issue with Milwaukee in that series would be, can the other guys score enough points to keep up with Brooklyn?
yeah,
Because Middleton is a nice player, Holiday's a nice player, Dante DiVincenzo's taken a leap this year. They have a couple other good shooters on that team. But outside of Giannis, are they going to be able to generate enough offense to keep up with a team like Brooklyn? And that's to be determined. I do think that would be an excellent playoff series, though. I think
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Giannis averaged 35 or 36 in that playoff series, just because Brooklyn's defense is so bad.
yeah, yeah. And something is telling me that this year, I mean, obviously they're gonna make the playoffs, but I feel like at that time, somebody is going to step up defensively and it's going to spread.
I hope
Now,
so.
going back to like, let's just say that the Nets and the Bucks meet in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that having their big three, somebody's going to be able to contain Giannis, and it may not even be out of those three guys. It could be somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like we sometimes expect certain players to step up, and in reality, it's somebody that we never expected
Yeah,
doing that work. You know what I'm saying? I
that's
feel
that's
like
definitely true. Yep.
that's going to be somebody from the. I don't know who. Like I said, I don't know who's going to be right now, but it's going to be somebody. I feel like that's one thing that if you can contain Giannis, Middleton. I mean, yeah, you can stop and Holiday you can stop, but their main threat is Giannis, and if you can control him, then you won the game.
Yeah,
So
that's very true. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'll have to probably think about it a little more in terms of the matchups, but Brooklyn, they're dangerous. They're
yeah,
very, very dangerous. That game they had against the Clippers was very telling.
true.
We'll see. But so moving on from that, our last sports segment of the episode, we're gonna be talking about the Utah Jazz. This is a team that has become a perennial playoff fixture in the West, led by the pair of Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Great coach in Quinn Snyder, a couple good role players in that team as well. But this year so far, at the time of this recording, they are first in the West. Yes,
Mm.
they are above the Lakers. They're above the Clippers. I believe they have a 16-5 or 16-6 record at the time of recording this episode. Um, and they this this team looks good. They're right now they're top 5 in the NBA in offensive and defensive rating. It's like I said, they have Mitchell, Gobert. They have a great coach in Quinn Snyder. They have Bojan Bogdanovic. Jordan Clarkson is in the running for six man of the year right now. They got Royce O'Neal, who's a great shooter, and a couple of other good solid players for this team. My question for you, Matt, is could the Jazz actually make serious noise in the playoffs this year to the point where they could potentially reach the conference finals or maybe even the finals?
I think it's definitely a chance. One thing that I always say, and I told you this before too, is that the NBA is a long season, and I like to say it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, I feel like one thing that I hope that doesn't happen to this team, and I'm not a Jazz fan, but this is just me just you know being mindful. I don't want this team to burn out. Right now, they're
Mhm.
playing extremely good. Like how I said, they're first in the West. They actually played the Hawks a little bit earlier today, beat them, and now they're 17-5.
Mm.
But this team is off to a great start. I just think that they need to really pace themselves and know what's ahead of them. I think that
Mhm.
if they can play with this intensity and this at this high level of play, they have a chance to make it, deep in the playoffs.
Mhm.
Um, but it kind of scares me because, like I said, it's still early in the season. You're at number one in the West, and things can change within a week. You know what I'm saying? So no hate. Donovan Mitchell is averaging 23 points per game. Jordan
Yeah,
Clarkson
he's
is
balling
right
out.
behind them with 17 points, and he's their sixth man. That's incredible. And
Love
Mike
Jordan
Conley
Clarkson.
is averaging six assists per game, so he's dishing the ball out when need be. And Rudy Gobert is doing his thing on the board. And they, like Howard said, they have extraordinary, role players as well. And yeah. So I think that they're taking that next step. I just don't want them to do it as fast as they're doing it now because my fears I don't want them to burn out come later this season. And then we see them now at one and they drop to five or six just in a matter
Yeah.
of months. So yeah,
Mhm.
man.
I like watching this team a lot. You know what's funny about the Jazz being first? I actually, for last season, I thought the Jazz were going to finish first in the conference.
Mm.
I made
Right.
that bold prediction, and they ended up finishing, I believe, it was sixth. Um, but now they're first this year, so it looks like I was the year late. Um, so this Jazz team is full of guys that just know how to play the game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously so Donovan Mitchell's probably one of my 5 or 6 favorite players. Just watching him play, he's like a young Dwayne Wade out there. He's so explosive.
Mm.
Um, I like I I like Gobert. He's as kind of bucking the trend of um, centers that can shoot. He can't shoot anything, but yet he's a very impactful player on both sides.
Yeah.
Bogdanovich is a great shooter. Royce O'Neal's a great shooter. I think they lead the league in 3-point percentage or something like that. They're a very, 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 very good 3-point shooting team.
They are.
Um, the issue that I have with the Jazz is, to me, this is a team that still can go without offense
Mm.
for spurts. So there's a good chance that whenever I watch a Jazz game, which is not terribly often, but it's common enough for me to get this vibe from them,
Yeah.
the Jazz tend to go through spurts where they really, really, really lean on Donovan Mitchell
Yeah.
and nobody else can hit a shot.
That's true.
That's the thing that concerns me with this team. They have they have decent depth. They have good players that can impact the game on both sides of the ball.
Mm.
But when the playoffs come, and they play a team with a couple superstars on it. So like take the, I don't know, the Clippers or Lakers or
Yeah.
even the Nuggets, for example. Will the Jazz be able to keep up with them in terms of points scored? Their defense is very, very good. And they'll always, that defense will always be able to put, or keep them in games. And that's coaching, that's mindset, that's mentality, that's that. But for the Jazz, I just don't know if they're going to be able to generate enough buckets when it's crunch time outside of Donovan Mitchell. And Mitchell, for as much as I love him, Mitchell can go through spurts where he has 5 of 20 or 5 of 21 or 6 of 23 games.
Facts.
Um, a good sign though is that he flourished in the playoffs last year. They only
Yeah.
played one round, but he was excellent in
Mm.
that round against Denver. He had a 50-point game or two, or it was insane the back and forth he was going with Jamal Murray. So to answer the question if the Jazz are for real, I do think this is a very talented team, and I do think they are going to end up being a top 3 or 4 seed in the West. I'm not
Mm.
sure if they're going to keep up this number one pace. And I do think they are very serious playoff contenders just because of the nature of this team. but I don't think they're going to make the finals. I think the Lakers
I
are still going to
agree.
make the finals. I think the farthest Jazz could conceivably go is the conference finals. I could see them making the conference finals. The finals, that's a whole different beast. Now, I
Yeah.
don't think they'll. I don't, as currently constructed, I don't think they'll get there this year as of right now.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
mean, it's like I said, I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell fan, but it still remains to be seen whether he can actually take this team to where they need to go. Um, which kind of wait, I just actually thought of something. Did you hear about what Shaq said about Donovan Mitchell last
Yeah.
week?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Because my personal opinion on that is, I don't think Shaq was wrong for saying that Mitchell is not a superstar talent yet. But I think there's a time and place for that stuff to be said. I think it was out of place for him to say in that moment, but I don't think he was necessarily wrong.
Yeah. Shaq's been on a roll with the credit talk to a lot of
Shaq
several
Shaq
NBA
Shaq
players.
just does not give a hell. He just doesn't care.
He's Shaq in the fool. Get it?
Shaq, yep.
But nah, yeah, I think like how we trying going back to Patrick Mahomes, like he's a young player, he still has room to grow, and like you brought up a good point. That team really does, depend on him
Mhm.
majority of the times, and I think that you know him being that guy for that team, again, he's not Superman. He can't do average 25 points a game every single night. You know what I'm saying? So I think that his future is promising. I think that he's a superstar. Within the team, within the Jazz.
Mhm.
But I think what Shaq said was kind of too over. Like you said, it's a place and time for that, and
Yeah.
he said kind of too over the top. Um, but the kid is trying. Um, and we'll see what happens to them. The next couple of months. And like you said, are they for real or is this hope? So
Yeah, I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell fan. He's so fun to watch. I hope
real
he
nice shoes.
keeps I hope he keeps this ascension up, because I think within the next 2 or 3 years we could potentially be looking at a top 10 player.
Yeah.
I don't think he's there right now, but I think he has potential to, and I hope he gets there because it seems like he's a really good guy. Obviously a very good basketball player. And it's Donovan Mitchell.
Go crazy.
All right. Well, that concludes our sports section of the podcast. We're going to head into our music edition of Area 11, where we do musical Sweet 16 brackets for various artists that Matt and I both love. And this week's episode is going to be focusing on Arizona Zervas. Like I said in the introduction, Arizona Zervas blew up into the mainstream in 2019, early 2020 with the song Roxanne, which made its way into TikTok mainstream. I think it reached like number 4 on the charts at its
Yeah.
peak.
Oh gosh.
And but the thing about Arizona Zervas though is that he's had a couple, or he's had several great songs before he released Roxanne that did not
Yes.
receive the mainstream attention that Roxanne did. Um, and Yeah, we're excited to show you guys our brackets. Matt, any thoughts on Arizona before we show our brackets?
Yeah. I think I brought it up at the beginning of the episode, but I think I found out about 2016, 2017. No, probably 2017. I say 2016. Nah, I don't know. 2016 maybe. Um, so Matt, you just follow with right. Look, Roxanne to me was a
The voice
terrible
gets me
song.
every time.
I had to bring it back, but I don't understand why that song blew up. I'm not a fan of it, as Kyle knows. A lot of people are. So if you see my bracket and offends you, I'm sorry. All right, let's get
All
this
right,
started.
all right.
Um,
Want to do your bracket first?
yeah, I can.
All right, let's do it.
Um, all right, so you know how this thing goes. They were focusing on Arizona Zervas, AZ.
Oh yeah, our brackets are very different.
Um, so
This is perfect.
upper left, we got Bad Luck and Changes. Bad Luck featuring Woody Pine. I got Bad Luck coming out. That song is Slapper.
Song's fire.
You Love and Zone featuring John Wolf. I think that I'm finally in my zone. That song is smooth, but it still got a nice bounce to it at the same time. So I got Zone coming out. Roxanne featuring Party Away. I mean, and Party Away. I said featuring Party Ways and Party Ways. Come on, man. You know I gotta go. Party Ways, yeah, yeah. You know what I'm saying? When you have a little
Oh, you're gonna hate me.
wham with your boo,
Mhm.
I need to play Party Ways. You know what I'm saying?
I can
So
I can see that. I can see that.
it'll definitely help you out. And if it doesn't, well, sorry. Uh,
Hey,
Night Night Rider and Living Facts, both two good songs, but I gotta go Living Facts. Just like what me and Kyle say, and we are. So Living Facts, liquor money and homies. Gotta give it with the homies. Gotta go homies, man. Drinking Problem and Helen Keller. Helen Keller, man. Helen Keller. Uh, little fun facts. Side note, whatever you want to call it. Helen Keller and Bad Luck. I think Bad Luck might have been the one I heard like his first time I ever heard about him, and then it proceeded with Helen Keller. So those have a very special place in my heart. LOL. You see what he did there? That's clever. That's nice. Arizona Zervas. Hey,
mm-hmm.
you clean.
Mm-hmm.
Let me be a feature. Um, but I got Boston coming out. That song just made me want to boss up and be a don. Boulevard and High Up. I got Boulevard. Um, practice song real nice. It makes you want to turn the song and drive down the boulevard.
That's
So
true. That's a very chill song.
you know what I'm saying? Real nice and mellow and low key. Um, so going back to the top, Bad Luck versus Zone. Golly, that was tough. I got bad luck, man. Party of Ways and Living Facts. What helped me in this is that Party of Ways is one of them songs where you only listen to in your feels. And it's not one of them songs
That's
where you
true.
can listen to like everyday type.
That's true.
So with that being said, I had to go Living Fast because Living Fast is more of a versatile song and
Hmm.
you can play it more consistently.
Okay.
Upper right, I got Homies and Helen Keller. Homies is the greatest song, but Helen Keller, like I said, it holds a spot in my heart. So I had that coming out. Boston and Boulevard, I got Boston. It's just I don't know. Like I said, it's a real fierce high octane type song, and it makes you want to go out and get it. So in my final quattro, um, I got Bad Luck versus Living Facts, and I got Helen Keller and Boston. On the left hand side, I got Bad Luck. That song, like I to this day, I still play. I've been playing this since, like I said, 2016, 2017, and still getting played to this day.
And that was the song that you put me on to him from.
Yes,
That was the first
yes.
song I'd ever heard from him.
That song is if you haven't heard it, check it out. And then
It
on the right
slaps.
hand side, Helen Keller and Boston. Um, Helen Keller, like I said, it's the intro is actually a sample um I'm guessing back in when in that time it was a recording of something. I don't know if it's real or if it's legit, but I thought
It
that
was
was a
probably
great.
like, yeah, it was probably like a documentary of a woman talking about how Helen Keller um had all these impediments and yet
Yeah,
still lived a fruitful life.
yeah. I thought. I mean, again, the song is Helen Keller, so I thought that was a creative way of introducing the song.
Yeah,
And in the championship, I got Bad Luck and Helen Keller, and like I said, because I play Bad Luck still to this day, I got it as my champion. You know, if I could, I'd
our
keep playing the
brackets
song and play it, but
our brackets cannot be any more different. And I'm so excited to see your reaction on your face. This
oh
is gonna be
man,
crazy. This is gonna be insane. You're probably just gonna wanna like throw something at me through the screen.
let's
That's
see.
but Honestly though, I can see this bracket for me though, because Bad Luck, I kind of predicted that Bad Luck was going to be your song.
Mhm.
There's some surprises here though. Like I thought you would have chosen Knight Rider over Living Facts. I would have thought that
Mm.
you would have chosen. I thought you would have chosen LOL over Boston, but it's a good bracket. I
Both.
I, I don't I don't agree with most of it, but but Zervas, he's all these songs are great songs. The only issue is which ones are better
Yeah.
than the
And I,
others.
I was telling Kyle this a couple of days ago, but he has a real unique sound to him.
He does.
And I think that, you know, he's not just a rapper, but because majority of these 85 to 90% of these songs have a hardcore, melody to it. It's not just straight
It's
rap.
true.
He does have hip hop like rap elements to it, but it's more diverse than what people may think off of first impressions.
Yeah, because Helen Keller is one of the only examples of him actually straight rapping on for songs on this bracket. I mean, every other song I think probably has some sort of elements of at least some singing
Yeah,
on it. He's
yeah,
he's he's got a great voice. He's very versatile in what he can do.
he does.
Now we're on my bracket. So my
Oh
bracket
God.
is I know it's radically different than Matt's. It's like I said before, we both love Arizona Zervas, but it looks like it's a little bit different. So what we can agree on though is that Bad Luck is should be in the final four.
Yes, sir.
So we'll get to that in a few minutes, but um, so Bad Luck versus Changes, both great songs. I got Bad Luck. Bleep You Love taking on Zone. I gotta go with Bleep You Love. Bleep You Love. That song is a song you can play to when you're just dancing, having a good time. Roxanne versus Parted Ways. I love Roxanne, unlike some people that I know that are Arizona Zervas fans, Matt. So I got to go
That's
with
right.
Roxanne. Part of Ways to me is a very important song. It got me through a pretty challenging part in my life, but Roxanne is just it's a great song. Um, Knight Rider taking on Living Facts. I like Living Facts. It's a pretty decent song. Probably not one of my favorite songs by him. Knight Rider is probably like a top fiver for me. I think it perfectly encapsulates who he is as an artist. So I got to go with Knight Rider. We got LMS taking on Homies. Um, LMS is probably one of those songs that is probably in the upper half of Arizona Zervas songs for me. So I got to go with LMS. Drinking Problem featuring 27 Club taking on Helen Keller. Um, I like Helen Keller, not as much as Matt apparently. So I got to go with Drinking Problem. Um, I got Boston taking on LOL. I like LOL a little bit more. That's kind of like more of a chill, laid back song that I've probably listened to more than I have Boston. And High Up taking on Boulevard. I've probably listened to Boulevard a little bit more than High Up, but High Up is a song that I've kind of taken that I've listened to probably a little bit more as of recently. So I got to go to High Up. Bad Luck taking on Bleep You Love. Bad Luck, it's a banger. It's his first Arizona Zero songs I ever heard. Kudos to Matt on that one.
Yes, sir.
So got to go with Bad Luck on that one. Roxanne versus Nightcrawler. Whew. This was probably one of the hardest decisions in the bracket because both are great songs,
This man is
but
sick.
but I got to go with Roxanne. Um, it's just such a bop, and it was one of my 5 most listened to songs on Spotify in my yearly rap for 2020.
Ouch.
So I gotta go with Roxanne. LMS taking on Drinking Problem. Both are great, very chill, laid back songs, but I think I gotta take Drinking Problem just because it's more of just like a kind of vibey, just kind of if you're in the mood kind of song. And then High Up taking on LOL. High Up's a great song. Gotta go with High Up. For my final four, which Matt hopefully thinks Michigan will be in this year.
They will be. Come on, don't sleep on us. We number
um,
4 in the nation too. You see what I did there? Quattro 4.
yeah, mm-hmm,
Top 4.
mm-hmm. I see what you did there. Bad Luck taking on Roxanne was tough, and Matt's probably gonna throw up from this, but I gotta go with Roxanne, bro. Hey, I love I love Bad Luck a lot, but Roxanne, bro, it is such a vibe. And then Drinking Problem taking on High Up, I got Drinking Problem. My championship round. Roxanne taking on Drinking Problem. This one was also pretty tough, although probably not as tough as Roxanne versus Bad Luck. I like Drinking Problem, but Roxanne is my favorite Arizona Zervas song. And I was telling Matt off camera a little while ago that normally for artists that I like, I typically don't like a in artist's main, like, most popular mainstream song as my favorite. It's just how it happens. Like, take Travis Scott, for instance. Like, Travis Scott is my favorite artist right now, and Sicko Mode is not my favorite song. Neither is Goosebumps, neither is Highest in the Room. Or take like a Kendrick Lamar. Like, my favorite song by Kendrick Lamar is probably These Walls as of right now, and it's not like All Right or any other or like Backseat Freestyle or anything like that. But Zervas is different. I love Roxanne. It got me through a lot of the pandemic, or it has got me through a lot of the pandemic. And it was a great TikTok song for a while, so I got to go to Roxanne. Why not?
One thing that I would say about, if you guys don't know, there was a remix to Roxanne. It was featuring Sway Lee.
Yep.
And one thing that I was about to tell Kyle is that I feel like, no disrespect to Sway Lee, I think he's real talented. I like his music.
Yeah.
But because Arizona Zervas, like I said, has that a real, melodic way about his music that incorporates rap. Sway Lee is the same way, super melodic. We nowadays, on the features, we see him singing, and he's on the hooks, and he's giving us real, melancholy type vibes. So for them, and again, this is my opinion. Maybe that's what the vibe that AZ was trying to go for the remix. But I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the song, so I think that both versions was. But hey, you know what I'm saying? Those
duly noted and disregarded.
But that's why we do these brackets. Not only is, that's our thing, but we do it to show you that, we have the same 16 songs, but within each round things can change instantaneously. So we're just kind of taking you into our mindset and process of what we like and what we don't like. So,
and also just showing different perspectives too. I mean,
exactly.
we live in a world now where if you don't, in some cases, in some spaces, if you don't agree with someone, that automatically makes them like the other, or something like that. And for some things, that's just not a healthy way of looking at things. Like Matt and I, we both love Arizona Zervas, and yet we had completely different brackets, and I think we're pretty much okay with that. Outside of Roxanne being my favorite song, but it's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think Matt hit it perfectly. I mean, we do this to kind of show different perspectives, and and we have a lot of fun doing it. So. Yeah, shout out Arizona Zervas.
Yes, sir.
Roxanne. All she wanna do is party
on. It's a catchy hook. I'm not gonna lie, it is catchy.
We should be on the next remix of that song.
Hey, AZ, hit us up. We're gonna leave our handles, put the meeting handles in the description. So hit us up.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, that concludes this episode of Area 11. Again, I'm Kyle Keka, and this is to my left. Looks like.
MB Matt Baitler, Mr. Music Plug, Mr. Music Man
with all the nicknames.
Yes,
and this is Area 11, where we echo the culture all the time for you guys, and we will see you soon.
Peace out, guys.